Hey, beautiful people. Hope you all are doing very well today. Welcome back to the Young and Independent Show, where we discuss a variety of topics to help young folks live lives that are spiritually fulfilled, lives that are value added, lives that are less materialistic, and lives that are financially independent. I'm your host, Sil, and today I want us to talk about imperfection. So, I recently completed a challenge that was virtual, and it was being led by Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. If you haven't heard about Tony Robbins, I'm not going to tell you on this podcast because that name should speak for itself. You can just Google it, Tony and Dean, and you will read all about them. One of the things that led me to, so when I woke up this morning, I thought, oh gosh, there's so many things that I had put off because I was waiting for the perfect time. And I just, realized the last 2 years that there will be no perfect time. COVID-19 just came and knocked me up the head and woke me up to the reality that there's no such thing as perfection. And I suspect, that the reason why you haven't started that amazing project that you have in your heart is because you're waiting for the perfect time, the perfect moment, the perfect age, the perfect relationship, the perfect environment, the perfect country, the perfect job, and the list goes on. You know what your perfect is. So you can just fill in the blanks. And one of the things that Tony Robbins said during the Time to Thrive challenge was that perfection is the lowest standard human beings can have. And I find that to be true because what may be perfect to you or to the next person may be totally flawed or commonplace to another person. What that then means is that there's no standard to go by when it comes to perfection. And if you're waiting that everything is going to be perfect, then you're never ever going to be able to do anything. And by the way, if you look at the way Apple, which is a very common or very popular, phone brand or make is, people who had Apple many years back will tell you that Apple has made some amazing progress when it comes to the tech, the sleekness of the phone, and everything. Why? Because when Apple launched, Apple didn't wait for Apple to be perfect because Apple will never be perfect. And every time that Apple launches a new Apple 5, Apple 6, Apple whatever, I'm not an Apple person, I'm a Samsung girl, but every time that Apple launches a new iPhone, it's because they're trying to make the old iPhone better. The same thing applies to whatever it is that you have in your heart and whatever it is that you're doing. Progress only makes things better. Waiting will never get you anywhere. For example, I'm just going to be transparent. So there's so many ventures that I started 2 years ago or just under 2 years that I had been putting off and saying, you know what, I'm not ready. One of the ventures was just being able to talk to other people about the things that I was passionate about, which is financial independence. You all know that by now. So, the thought of blogging about financial freedom, the things that I've been through, like Alex Hormozy says, I'm not telling you that I'm perfect, okay? What I'm telling you is what I've done, what I've read, what I have tried and tested, and it has worked for me. You can try it too. That's it. All the books we read, all the podcasts we listen to, all the things the information that we're exposed to, we have to try it for ourselves. And then say, you know what? It worked for me. What may work for you, hair oil to grow your type 4C hair may work for you. but not for the other person. Doesn't mean that that hair oil is irrelevant or it's fake or poorly done, but there is no such thing as a perfect product, a one size fits all. We have to tailor approaches, and it boils down to starting with what you have, and then making progress. So when I first thought about my website, I thought I needed a stellar, award-winning website, fantastic, top-notch. But the longer I waited, the longer my message waited in me. I wanted to put it out there. And I just decided on a Saturday that enough. I'm going to get this message out there from tomorrow. I sat down, went on Google, how to create a website. I stumbled on an article by Pat Flynn, the CEO of Spy. You can check it out. There was a free course. I took the course and I started my website I created that website in 9 hours. That same day, it was up, and for someone who was a newbie to tech and all these things, you can only imagine how the website panned out. But today, I'm happy to say that after a lot of readership, I've been able to pay a web developer to have a better looking website. It's not perfect, because some people have looked at it and criticized it and said, oh, actually, still, I can do a better website for you. And others have said, wow, I love your website. So there you have it. There's no such thing as perfection. It may have looked fantastic to me, and someone will just walk by and say, is that all you could do? So, what that should remind you is that just start. And when I was thinking of starting this podcast, I remember I was so excited and anxious at the same time about the equipment, because I went online, read all these fancy equipments that podcasters are using for their podcast. And I stumbled upon one video from a guy called Alex. And I forgot his other name. Alex was saying that a lot of people focus on the equipment rather than the message and the impact. And he said that he has a great following and he's impacting lives all over the US because he uses his telephone and his earphones to make his podcast, that he hasn't spent a dime on equipment. So I said, oh, wow, that's so cool. But before then, I had went ahead and ordered a microphone, which I thought was sophisticated, posh and stuff. And when he arrived, I was recording, with that microphone, but I just felt that the quality wasn't as good as I had expected it to be. And I put it to the side. I started recording with my phone. So whenever a message, comes to my head or into my heart, I just whip out my phone and I just start speaking into the Spreaker app. Right now, that's what I'm doing. I don't have any fancy microphone. I've got one which I bought, but I'm not using it. And you may have also noticed, if you've been listening to my podcast, that sometimes or occasionally my kids will interrupt, or there'll be a loud noise that intrudes, and sometimes I will mispronounce. In the beginning, let me tell you, I'm not going to lie. In the beginning, I would restart the podcast, but right now, no, I'm not doing that. I'm coming to you just as I am, and I'm focusing on the impact of the message that I have, and that's what you should do. Whatever you're doing right now, whatever you plan to do in the future, focus on the why. Ignore all the little issues that may come to rob you of your confidence of what you're doing or interrupt the message. Why am I saying this? What I realized was that the recordings in which I had some volume issues, some external noise, pronunciation challenges have ended up to be my most popular episodes, because the message was authentic. I stuck to what was coming into my heart, and I just delivered. And every time I have tried to start recording all over, it wasn't the same. Why? Because my podcast is not really scripted, I would say. In the beginning, I was scripting it, but it was so boring. And I just felt like I had to stick to what wasn't really me. So I started to speak from my heart, and I've just realized that the response from you all, who are listening, and I see the comments, is a lot better, and you can relate to the fact that I'm not some human being who has just dropped from Mars, onto planet Earth, and I'm just so fantastic. No, I'm not. I'm just like you. And I want you to be just like anyone else and like yourself. People may pretend to you that they're all that, but guess what? They're not so deep. No one should fool you. Start with what you have and where you are, and people will ride with you because they can hear the voice of your child in the background. People will ride with you because you're telling them that, you know what, I can't serve you now. I need to go grab my kids from school. People will ride with you because you tell them that, you know what, I ain't got money to buy equipment right now. This is all I've got, and this is what I'm bringing to you. People will ride with you for that. Stay true. The last thing that I, put off, and I was actually waiting for it to be perfect, is my newly released book, How to Be an A+ Partner, Mom, and Entrepreneur. I'm sure you've seen that book. If you're following me on social media, you've seen that book on my social media. So what the message that's in this book is a message I've had in my heart for many years. And I always felt, who am I to write a book and people want to read it? I'm not not spatial. I don't have anything that anyone wants to hear about. I don't have the skill set to sit down and write a book. I just felt that I had to go through some type of formal education, copywriting or script writing or whatever, what people have, fantastic educations that writers have. I felt that I needed to have all those things. But the more I read, the more I got exposed to information that no, actually, you can write exactly where you are right now, and you will still be able to impact lives with your message, because your chapter 2 is a long, long, long road away from so many other people. Some people have not even arrived at the back of the book. You are already in chapter 2. So you've definitely got something to teach them. You've definitely got value to add onto people's lives. You've got a message, you've got a service, you've got a product that someone else wants. Don't wait for it to be perfect, because it will never be. As much as some people may come onto my book and say, oh, this book is flawed here, there, and there, others would say, oh my God, this is amazing. This is what I needed. That's the kind of feedback I've received so far. Thank goodness no one has left me 1 star to say, oh, this book is nonsense. But even if they did, I will not be offended, because you know what? In life, you cannot please everyone. And you have to just do you. You have to do you. There's a book in every one of us. And there's never going to be a perfect time to put pen to paper. Start exactly with all the thoughts that you have in mind. Start writing. There's no proven route to success. You have to start, and you figure things out as you progress. As Tony Robbins would say again, progress equals happiness. When you're making small progress, like a bird that is building its nest, then once your nest is complete, looking beautiful, will you say, wow, look back and say, wow, look at where I've come from. Look at how many times I've had to fly over this building. Look at how many times I've had to jump over this puddle to be able to get to where I am. And then you'll be able to give yourself a pat on the back and feel good about yourself, about your progress, about everything that you're doing, everything that you aspire to do, and all the lives that you're impacting, whether you're selling a product, you're selling a service, or you're just being yourself and other people are watching you and saying, that's my role model. So that's what I wanted to bring to you today. I've written an article about it. You might want to check it out. If you want a copy of my book, How to Be an A+ Mom, A+ Partner Mom and Entrepreneur, you can check the link on all our social media handles and on the article, which I'm going to link in the comment section of this podcast. I really encourage all women to get a copy. It's a book that is packed, filled with amazing knowledge on how to just navigate life as a mother, and also to just start with your imperfections, how I was able to do it. Write this book whilst being a mother, running a business, working, and being a A+ partner to my partner. I think you'll find it really useful, and it's got some amazing tips on what women can do right now from home with their imperfections. You don't have to put makeup on with your imperfect face. You can just literally sit in your home and earn money. What I did, I put everything in there. I hope you get a copy, and you get a copy for your wife or your sister or your mother or your colleague. And I look forward to your comments about the book and about this podcast. What do you think about overcoming perfectionism? Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, do take care. Bye-bye.